Good evening, Philippines, and good day, world. It's Thursday, the 21st day of September, and you're watching Newsline World. I'm Mayk Oliveira.
And I'm David Lira. We are here to bring you the top stories we gather from all over the globe.
A Philippine airport personnel will face a congressional probe after getting caught on a CCTV swallowing $300 bills.
Global Deivid reached an all-time high after hitting $307 trillion.
Poland said it will no longer send weapons to Ukraine as the grain imports dispute between the two countries continues to escalate.
South Korean police raided two U.S. military bases in their country over drug smuggling. Authorities said 70 U.S. soldiers are under investigation.
And let's explore Xinjiang Shufu country, home to makers of traditional Uyghur musical instruments. Our SMNI correspondent Jay Calabroso will take us there later.
These and more for tonight's edition of Newsline World.
The United Indigenous Peoples Heritage of the Philippines, an organization created by Pastor Apollo C. Cablelink, celebrated its first anniversary of the 20th of September. Daniela Paulite has the details.
September 20 marks the first anniversary of the United Indigenous Peoples Heritage of the Philippines, or UNIFIL, an organization created by Pastor Apollo C. Cablelink. The good pastor created UNIFIL to support IPs who are considered one of the most vulnerable groups in the country because they are being exploited, abused, and discriminated by communist terrorist groups in the country. Pastor Apollo aims to provide IPs a platform that will truthfully stand with them, uphold their integrity, and defend their rights. In just a year, UNIFIL has helped more than 10,000 IPs from 10 major tribes across the country by conducting literacy programs, medical missions, and providing legal assistance and clean water supply. UNIFIL Legal Officer Attorney Kay Lorente also shared that the organization aims to help the 101 major tribes in the Philippines.
Very impactful po talaga ang projects ni Pastor because it's not just kumbaga dole out lang or once lang nagbibigay si Pastor, but really his vision for the IPs is yung sustainable talaga, and that they can stand on their own, and then of course they will be very proud that they are IPs, and yun nga, that is by the leadership of Pastor as that.
Meanwhile, UNIFIL has promised that it will continue its mission to protect, care, and promote the rights, culture, and traditions of the indigenous people. For God in my beloved country, this has been Daniela Paulite, SMNI News.
The Congress is set to investigate the incident involving airport security personnel who was caught stuffing allegedly stolen dollar bills inside her mouth at NAIA terminal. This report by MJ Modehar.
The Congressional Committee on Public Order and Safety will be asked by ACT-CAS Congressman Erwin Tulfo to investigate a recent theft incident at NAIA Terminal. This comes after a member of the Office of Transportation Security, or OTS, swallowed dollars allegedly stolen from a Chinese passenger. The entire incident was captured on a CCTV footage.
Definitely po, I will talk to the Committee on Public Order and Safety under kay Congressman Dan Fernandez. Sila po yung nag-handle ho doon para ipatawag po ito mga ito.
According to the lawmaker, the Philippines doesn't need any more problems, especially as Congress is currently focused on addressing the high prices of essential commodities, including food and gasoline. Nevertheless, the Congress decided to initiate investigation to prevent cases of theft at airports.
We don't need this kind of problems anymore, sir. We have a problem like a national problem. We're talking about high cost of living, prices. Tapos papasukan mo pa ng ganon.
Among those to be summoned for the forthcoming investigation are the individuals in charge of airport security, who will be asked to explain the incident. The OTS has expressed its willingness to cooperate with the congressional probe. Transport Security Chief Mau Aplasca stated that aside from ODS, authorities will also investigate personnel from the Manila International Airport Authority, or MIAA. They are also exploring the possibility of collusion among individuals involved. House Public Order and Safety Chair Dan Fernandez welcomed the committee's investigation in aid of legislation, particularly regarding the conduct of security personnel at the country's premier airport. The issue is expected to contribute to the development of legislation mandating the use of CCTV cameras in government buildings to prevent crimes. The availability of CCTV footage is a crucial component of this issue.
Right now, the panel of Congressman Fernandez is eyeing to schedule the possible probe of this issue, and it could happen after the budget deliberations for the 2024 GAA. For Government of the Philippines, I'm Jay Mondihar, SMNI News.
The United Nations called on the international community for aid as thousands of Sudanese children are in grave danger due to the ongoing conflict in the said country. Federico Veloso will give us the details live. Fred?
Yes, Mike, thousands of Sudanese children are facing death and are in need of immediate assistance following the ongoing conflict that began earlier this year.
Sudan's ongoing conflict has led to over 1,200 child deaths in refugee camps due to missiles and malnutrition, requiring immediate international assistance. According to UNICEF, Sudan is in the midst of a devastating conflict that has led to a humanitarian crisis, with thousands of children at risk of dying. The UN reports that over 1,200 children in refugee camps have already died since May, partly due to a missiles outbreak. Thousands more are in danger due to malnutrition and a lack of access to health care. The ongoing conflict, which began in April, has claimed at least 7,500 lives and caused severe damage to the nation's infrastructure, resulting in the closure of 80% of hospitals. Attacks on healthcare facilities and personnel have further exacerbated the situation.
UNICEF warns that without immediate intervention, many more children will lose their lives. Urgent funding is needed to provide aid and access to those in need. International assistance is critical to preventing further loss of innocent lives, particularly among vulnerable children. Mike?
Thank you, Fred, for your live report.
Global debt hits all-time high at $307 trillion US dollars. Meanwhile, UK inflation unexpectedly dropped to 6.7%, raising questions about Bank of England's interest rate plans. Sigrid Castañeda filed this report.
Global debt has reached an all-time high, soaring by $10 trillion to a whopping $307 trillion in the first half of 2023, as reported by the Institute of International Finance, or IIF. This is a shocking 50% increase compared to a decade ago. Countries like the US, UK, and Japan are more contributors to this surge, partly due to high interest rates. The report also reveals that the global debt to gross domestic product, or GDP ratio, which had been decreasing for several quarters, is now rising again, hovering around 336% in the first 2 quarters of 2023. Most of this debt build-up is coming from developed countries, including the US, Japan, the UK, and France. Emerging markets like China, India, and Brazil also witnessed significant increases in debt. The IIF expresses concern about the alarming levels of government debt in many emerging markets. However, it mentions that the consumer debt in developed markets is manageable, which means central banks may have room to tighten monetary policies if inflation remains a concern. In a separate economic development, the United Kingdom experienced an unexpected drop in inflation, with the rate falling to 6.7% in August. Economists had predicted a higher figure. Factors such as lower food prices and fluctuations in accommodation service costs contributed to this surprising decline. This has led to speculation about whether the Bank of England will pause its recent trend of raising interest rates. The Bank of England was expected to announce another interest rate hike, potentially bringing the main bank rate to 5.5%, its highest level in years. However, following the unexpected drop in inflation, market sentiment shifted, with the likelihood of a rate hike pause increasing from 20% to nearly 50%. These economic developments are closely watched by financial markets and policymakers. The Bank of England's upcoming monetary policy decision will be crucial, as it aims to control inflation and meet its 2% target. Reporting this has been Sigrid Castañeda, SMNI News.
Russia became the United Arab Emirates' leading source of gold last year after Western sanctions imposed due to the war in Ukraine forced Moscow to look for alternative markets. Guataru Omori reports.
The UAE purchased 96.4 tons of gold from Russia in 2022, making it Moscow's top importer of precious metal. Before the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russia shipped and stored nearly all of its gold in London, the world's top market. After the invasion, Russia's usual export routes have been blocked by Western sanctions, forcing Russian miners to find alternative markets to sell their metal. Meanwhile, the UAE has long been a key hub for precious metals, particularly from Africa and India. The oil-rich Gulf state played a major role in trading Russian gold for the first time last year, after it stepped in to absorb some of the available supply of precious metals from the former Soviet state. Gold is one of the most important trade commodities for the UAE, making it the world's fourth biggest importer of precious metals in 2021 and its second largest exporter in the same year. China and Turkey followed the UAE as Russia's next biggest importers of the precious metals last year. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNI News, United Arab Emirates.
The Russian military said their peacekeepers were killed in Nagorno-Karabakh when their vehicle came under small arms fire. Andrea Santos filed this report.
A group of Russian peacekeepers who were returning to an observation post was killed on Wednesday when their car was attacked by unknown assailants. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, all of the peacekeepers inside the car were killed on the spot. The military did not reveal the exact number of servicemen who died. The incident happened during Azerbaijan's military campaign to regain control of Nagorno-Karabakh. Russian and Azerbaijani investigators are examining the scene of the incident. Meanwhile, the Kremlin said Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev called Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the deaths of the Russian keepers. Aliyev also apologized for the said deaths and vowed that all those responsible for the incident will be duly punished. Both presidents also talked about the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh and highlighted the importance of implementing the Russian-facilitated truce between Baku and the self-proclaimed authorities of the breakaway region. Russia also stressed the safety and rights of the region's Armenian residents. Reporting, this is Andrea Santos, SMNI News.
South Korean police are currently investigating U.S. soldiers and other individuals over alleged drug smuggling. This comes after authorities raided the U.S. Army bases in the said country. Kim Sung has the details.
17 soldiers and 5 individuals are currently being investigated by South Korean police for allegedly smuggling or using synthetic marijuana through the military postal service. The probe follows raids conducted by South Korean authorities in at least 2 U.S. Army bases in May, and this includes Camp Humphreys, its largest base overseas. Reports say a Filipino and a South Korean have also been arrested while prosecutors review the cases against 22 suspects. South Korean authorities launched a probe following a tip from the enforcement arm of the U.S. Army. The joint raids conducted by South Korean police and U.S. Army's criminal investigation found 77 grams of synthetic cannabis, more than 4 kilograms of mixed liquids used for vaping and cash totaling to $12,850 at the homes of the 22 suspects. All of them are accused of smuggling synthetic marijuana, also known as K2 and spice, into South Korea using the postal service of the U.S. military. The United States Forces Korea said it was aware of the probe, but also stated that those soldiers are currently in confinement or being detained in relation to the matter. Solo Sabugo Kim Sang, Imnida, SMNI News, South Korea.
The grain import dispute between Poland and Ukraine resulted in the latter ending its armed transfer to Kiev. Carlo de la Peña reports.
Poland has announced an end to its arms transfers to Ukraine, a day after President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Warsaw of playing into the hands of Russia by banning Kiev's grain imports. Meanwhile, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said Warsaw had decided to prioritize its own defense in the future. Thus, they will no longer transfer weapons to Ukraine. Polish government spokesperson Peter Muller on Thursday clarified that Poland is only carrying out previously agreed supplies of ammunition and armaments. Warsaw is one of the main weapon suppliers of Kiev. However, ties have soured over the recent weeks amid the growing dispute over grain. Morawiecki also warned that Poland could impose additional trade bans on Ukraine, given that the Ukrainian authorities do not understand the degree to which Poland's farming industry has been destabilized by foreign imports. The remarks came after Zelensky appeared to make a jab at Poland during his speech at the 75th UN General Assembly earlier this week. Zelensky said some countries in Europe play out solidarity in a political theater and are a thriller for the grain. To recall, Polish President Andrzej Duda compared Ukraine to a drowning man and called on Kiev to remember Warsaw's support during the ongoing conflict. Duda said, quote, "After all, the proverb says, a drowning man will clutch at a straw. Indeed, a drowning person grasps at everything he can. It's a bit like the situation between Poland and Ukraine today. Ukraine is under Russian attack. It is undoubtedly in a very difficult situation. It is grasping at everything it can. Can you blame it for that? Well, of course, you can complain about it." End of quote. The Polish president said he understood that there are business groups with interest in Ukraine who are aiming to sell grain quickly but with minimal expense. Poland is said to hold its parliamentary elections in October, and its ruling government, which has strong support in agricultural regions, said the ban aims to protect local farmers from a potential influx of cheaper products. The European Union previously backed restrictions to protect 5 countries bordering Ukraine, but lifted those last week. The said countries were Poland, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary. However, Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia reimposed their own unilateral bans due to cheaper Ukrainian grain pouring out in Central and European markets, tanking prices and causes problems to their local producers. Meanwhile, Ukraine said it would hold talks with Poland in the coming days. Reporting, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Ties between Canada and India continues to sour following the allegations of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to New Delhi over the death of a Khalistani activist. And now, New Delhi decided to suspend visa services for Canadians. Jane Cognita tells us more.
The website of India's BLS International, which handles the visa processing, announced that Indian visa services in Canada are suspended until further notice. The statement reads, "Due to operational reasons, with effect from 21st September 2023, Indian visa services have been suspended till further notice. Please keep checking BLS website for further updates." According to its website, BLS International Canada Services Incorporated is a partner of India's High Commission for managing the administrative and non-judgmental tasks of processing visas and passports. This comes amid a diplomatic spat between India and Canada over the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani activist who was labeled as a terrorist by India and is wanted by the Interpol. To recall, Nijjar was shot dead in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada in June. On Monday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his government was actively pursuing credible allegations linking Indian government agents to Nijjar's death. New Delhi rejected the accusations. Both countries also suspended each other's top diplomats. And on Wednesday, the Indian Foreign Ministry urged its nationals in Canada, especially students, to exercise utmost caution, saying, quote, "In view of growing anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes and criminal violence in Canada, all Indian nationals there and those contemplating travel are urged to exercise utmost caution. Given the deteriorating security environment in Canada, Indian students in particular are advised to exercise extreme caution and remain vigilant." A Hindustan Times report said the Punjab police had approached Canadian authorities in 2022, seeking Nijar's extradition to India. Meanwhile, India's National Investigation Agency said it was intensifying a crackdown on Khalistani terrorists that are operating in India. The agency also said it will reward $12,045 each for information leading to the arrest of Harwinder Singh Sandhu and Lakbir Singh Sandhu for promoting terrorist activities of Babar Khalsa International or BKI in India. BKI is one of the main Sikh separatist groups. Reporting, this has been Jane Conita, SMNI News.
World leaders have arrived in China to watch the opening ceremony of the Asian Games in the city of Hangzhou. Meanwhile, a welcome banquet will be prepared for heads of state as prepared by Chinese President Xi Jinping. Kai Vilan tells us more.
Crown Prince of Kuwait Sheikh Michal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah arrived in East China's Hangzhou city on Thursday to attend the official opening ceremony of the 19th Asian Games and relevant activities. Crown Prince Michal was the first foreign leader to arrive in Hangzhou for the opening ceremony. This is also Michal's first trip to China since he became the Crown Prince of Kuwait in 2020. Kuwait was the first Gulf Arab country to establish diplomatic relations with China and was among the first countries to sign an agreement on the Belt and Road Initiative with China in the region. Meanwhile, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad arrived in Hangzhou City for the said Asian Games. To welcome the Syrian president, Guard of Honor stood along the red carpet to pay tribute and welcoming crowd gathered at the airport. According to the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the opening ceremony of the 19th Asian Games in Hangzhou and will hold a welcoming banquet and bilateral events for foreign leaders on Friday and Saturday. The foreign leaders attending the opening ceremony in China are King Norodom Sihamoni of Cambodia, President Bashar al-Assad of Syria, Crown Prince Sheikh Michal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah of Kuwait, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda of Nepal, Prime Minister Shanana Gusma of Timor-Leste, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo of the Republic of Korea, and Speaker of the Dewan Rakyat of Malaysia Johari bin Abdul. Moreover, the Sultan of Brunei's representative Prince Haji Sofri Bolkiah, the Emir of Qatar's representative Sheikh Jawan bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, Prince Faisal bin Hussein of Jordan, Princess Sirivanavari of Thailand, and Deputy Prime Minister Edil Baisalov of Kyrgyzstan will attend relevant events. The 19th Asian Games was co-hosted by Hangzhou as well as 5 other cities of Zhejiang province, including Ningbo, Wanzhou, Jinhua, Shaoxing, and Huzhou, will officially begin on Saturday and will end on October 18. This year's edition is set to be the largest ever, with around 12,500 athletes from 45 countries and regions competing in 40 sports, 61 disciplines, and 481 events. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Kai Vilan, SMNI News.
Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the opening ceremony of the 19th Asian Games, which is said to be larger than the Olympics and boasts of an array of region and global sports. Chat Mongkong Pisamay-Guson reports.
China will welcome foreign leaders participating in the 19th Asian Games with banquets and bilateral events set to kick off this weekend.
Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the event to witness the ceremony and welcome the foreign delegates. The opening ceremony will kick off on September 22 and 23 in Hangzhou, the largest city in the eastern Chinese province of Xinjiang. The Hangzhou area is also well known for serving the best tea in China. The games will officially start on the 23rd of September and end on the 8th of October. The 19th edition of the Asian Games will feature 61 disciplines across 40 sports. The best athletes in Asia are ready to represent their nations in the biggest continental competition of them all after the international sports event got delayed for a year. According to organizers, more than 12,000 competitors will attend the opening ceremony. This is more than the 10,500 participants expected to attend the Paris Olympics next year.
This is the third time China will be hosting the Asian Games, with Beijing to have hosted the event in 1990 and Guangzhou in 2010. รายงานจากราชบุรี นายชันมงคลพิสมัยโกศล SMNI News ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
Local authorities in Australia have expressed concerns over conditions of extreme heat and the risk of bushfires after the Bureau of Meteorology officially declared an El Niño weather phenomenon. Sasha Hassa reports.
Parts of Australia are experiencing extreme weather conditions, while an unusual heat wave that hit the country's southeast this month led to the first total fire ban in 3 years. The declaration of the El Niño event brought concerns about a hot and dry summer that will most likely elevate the risk of bushfires. The announcement came more than 2 months after the World Meteorological Organization announced the arrival of the global El Niño and warned governments worldwide to mobilize preparations to limit the impacts on the health of its residents. This is also the first time in 8 years that Australia declared a weather event. Bushfire season in Australia starts anytime from June onwards and could go as far as April of next year. The so-called Black Summer bushfires, which took place between 2019 to 2020, were one of the worst bushfires that happened in Australia. The mega fire, which made global headlines, burnt an estimated 24.3 million hectares, killed more than 30 people, and wiped out nearly 500 million animals. Reporting from Sydney, this has been Sasha Hassa, SMNI News, Australia.
A Thai student expressed hope that the recent expo in China will pave the way for more local products from Thailand to enter the Chinese market. Anissa de Guzman reports.
The 20th China ASEAN Expo provided an opportunity for Chinese consumers to explore a different range of products offered by different ASEAN member countries, including Thailand.
Thai student Tanyapon Itichaipon said she will not hesitate recommending Thai cuisine to Chinese consumers and is hoping more of them will appreciate and patronize local products from Thailand.
I know that's a very big exhibition between China and the 10 member countries from ASEAN. I think it was a big exhibition that have a product, the local product from the business in every country that joined this exhibition. Fruit and food from Thailand that very popular for the Chinese people. In the northern of Thailand, we have kanto and gang hanle. It's very delicious. I want Chinese people to know a lot of the very, very local food in Thailand.
Kantok is a traditional form of dining offered to guests during lunch or dinner to celebrate any number of occasions. Sometimes called satok, guests gather around a small round wooden table adorned with a tray of food, while keng hangle is a form of pork belly curry and one of the most iconic dishes of northern Thailand. The 20th China ASEAN Expo was held from September 16 to 19, 2023 at the Nanning International Convention and Exhibition Center, capital of the Guangqing Shuangsu Autonomous Region, and has attracted nearly 2,000 enterprises from 46 countries.
Di siya Anissa de Guzman, Rangan Chakuntep Mahanapon, SMNI News, Pratet Thai, Sawadika.
An event has been held ahead of a night in Asian Games to welcome the sporting delegation from the Philippines. CGTN Zhao Yanfei reports.
I'm at the Flag Plaza of the Athletes Village of the Asian Games. The host of the village has held a welcome ceremony for the Philippines national delegation. The Philippines is one of several national Olympic committees to appear at every edition of the Asian Games since 1954. This year, it's sending nearly 400 athletes to compete in Hangzhou.
I think it's far, the standard is far from what the Asian Games used to be hosted like. For me personally, I was also in the Beijing Winter Olympics. Yeah, so when I entered here, it was like a lot of things were like the Beijing Olympics. So I felt like, wow, this is Olympic standard right here.
In terms of our preparation as a team, we really did our best to prepare for this, because it only happens every 4 years, right? So, yeah, we did our best.
45 international delegations will compete at this year's Asian Games. The village accommodates more than 20,000 people, providing medical, transportation, and other services. Zhao Yunfei, CGTN, Hangzhou.
The biggest and the first ever Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, Science Museum has officially opened in the Philippines. Let's find out more about this with Trisha Molina.
No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institutions, partnerships. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals call for all countries, including the Philippines, to take urgent action. This is what will welcome guests once they enter the very first and by far the biggest Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG Museum in the country, known as the Changemaker 2040 Museum. Lance Tan, the president of the Philippine Amusement and Entertainment Corporation, or PAEC, said the museum was built for the purpose of spreading awareness among individuals and communities, especially among the youth, regarding the global goals that seek to address the global challenges faced by countries worldwide, including the Philippines.
Which is the 17 problems of our Mother Earth. And then that way, you will realize also that every single SDG, we can do something. And then every SDG inside, you can do interactive experiment in order for the kids can analyze.
The PAEC has also partnered with the United Nations SDG campaign to promote the 17 interconnected goals with an aim to transform the planet.
Nag-partner kami sa kanila to promote this kind of campaign, not only in the Philippines, sabay-sabay po tayo sa buong mundo po.
According to Tan, the initiative started when he became the president of JCI Makati, a role that enabled him to visit Ada communities and exposed him to the realities and problems faced by these groups and underprivileged Filipinos, such as lack of access to education and classrooms, decent toilets, and other basic necessities.
And then I realized putting up this kind of amusement and museum makes us difference. And then we as a Filipino, kailan tayo magsimula nito? Not only in Mindoro, but the entire Philippines.
The Changemaker 2040 Museum is located at 88 Square Mall in Parañaque City. Interested visitors can purchase tickets online to enter the 3,600 square meter interactive attraction. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated is set to host this year's Philippine International Mathematical Olympiad, which will begin on Friday. Hannah Jane Sancho reports.
Students from different countries will showcase their skills in mathematics at the Philippine International Mathematical Olympiad, or FIMO, held in Davao City starting Friday, September 22. The Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated of Pastor Apollo Cignal was chosen as the host for the said event. About 1,128 students from kindergarten to grade 12 from different countries will participate in the competition. This includes the Philippines, Iran, Cambodia, Australia, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Japan, and Vietnam. 8 JMRians will also compete in the said event.
They are the chosen students
from schools. Tapos they go through heat round, which is it's like a qualifying stage that they have to do. And then after which they will be chosen as the representative for the final round.
It aims to engage the students all around the world in a battle of wits, mental, and mathematical abilities in a competition to win the Golden Trophy.
JMCFI was scheduled to host FIMO in 2020. However, it was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. FIMO Chief Examiner Dr. X-Kill Brian P. Aaron said they chose Davao City and JMCFI as the hosts because they want to showcase the city, which is also the home of former President Rodrigo Duterte. JMCFI expressed its utmost gratitude to its founding president, Pastor Apollo Cignal, for his continuous and unwavering support. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with a message of the appointed Son of God. Great leaders don't tell you what to do. They show you how it's done. And for our Christmas countdown, it's 94 days to go before Christmas.
And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. And for more news update, you may visit on SMNInewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, I'm Mayk Dennis Oliveira.
For God and Country, I'm Deivid Lira. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo Cignal, for the opportunity to be part of this program.
May you continue to listen on SMNI as it delivers nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is your source of credible news.